Hello, Kenneth Hollins here with HollinsMusic.com and MyKeyboardConnection.com. It's lunchtime, so I decided to come on here and just give you a few tips, something that I think will help the gospel musician. I'm calling this today tips for effectively learning brand new songs. And so this is something that I have learned over the years that works for me. I'm not saying that this is the only way, but this is a way, and this is a way that just over the years it seems like it works pretty good for me. Hello, brother Christopher. And those of you all that are coming on, just give me a shout out. Let me know where you are watching from. Let me know what city, what state. Some of you all may even be outside of the country. Let me know where you are, and then too, if you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions that you may have. All right, Billy Green from OKC, welcome. Lynchburg, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. From Beverly, welcome. Welcome. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I don't know if you're eating lunch right now, but I did want to share these tips. Also, I wanted to let everybody know or remind everybody, if you already know, about the special offer that I have um, for mykeyboardconnection.com. Today is actually the last day where I had a 48-hour opportunity to actually sign up for 6 months of mykeyboardconnection.com. Now that is my private subscription based blog where I post different videos and a teaching that I do just from time to time, and it's content on mykeyboardconnection.com all the way back from now all the way back to 2010. So it's literally years and years and years of content. And when you sign up with mykeyboardconnection.com, you get unlimited access to everything that's on the site. Everything, PDF files, MIDI files, the videos, and so it's a wonderful site. It's a wonderful opportunity, and right now we're doing a special where you can get 6 months. Now let me explain to you how it's set up right now. 1 month regularly. Now this is the regular amount. 1 month regularly of mykeyboardconnection.com is $37 per month regularly. That's the normal price. But for today is the last day of this offer. We're going to allow you to have 6 months of mykeyboardconnection.com for only $25. Okay, 6 months. One, two, three, four. That's half of a year for only $25. That is a small investment for potentially what you could learn, what you could really get from being subscribed to that site. So I would encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. Today is the last day, and I really do believe that it will really, really help take you to a brand new level. Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into what we're doing today. All right. Tips for learning or effectively learning brand new songs. Now, this is where I'm coming from with this. Okay. As a musician, I've played for choirs. I've played for groups. I've played in recording sessions. I've played on television. I've played for so many different situations, and many of those situations are not situations where I have sheet music or I have a chord chart or anything like that. Now, I have played in situations where I actually had sheet music to read, or I had a chord chart that was in front of me and I could follow that. But I'm talking about when, say, for example, you are the piano player for a church, or you are the organist for a church, and the minister of music or the musical director sends you a link and say, "We're doing this song for rehearsal Wednesday night, and we need you to learn it and learn it." and really learn it and know it so that we can do it effectively for rehearsal, so then we can do it effectively for Sunday. And so that is the standpoint that I'm coming from, where you don't have a chord chart, you don't have a lead sheet, you don't have sheet music. It has to be all up here, okay? And you have to be able to sit down and remember everything. You have to be able to play everything. And so when it's a brand new song and it's a song that you're not used to listening to, it's a song that you really haven't played before, what are some things that you can do that will help you to effectively learn that song? And when you sit down to play it, you're not trying to remember how it goes. You're not telling somebody, "Hey, play it for me real quick." No, how can you really learn it and really know it to whenever you need to play it? You don't need to review it. You don't need to refresh yourself. You can sit down and go. How can you do that? Okay. That's what I want to share with you today. Okay. First thing is, this is what I've learned that works for me. The first thing that I do is, whenever it's a brand new song, I internalize the song. I try to internalize it. And let me explain what I mean by internalizing it. What I try to do is I just listen to the song. Just listen to it. I'm not trying to play it. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to practice it right now. No. All I'm doing is listening. Just listening. Listening. I may be in my car and driving and not really paying a whole lot of attention to the song, but I'm listening to it. I'm listening to it. When I'm maybe trying to get something to eat, I'm cooking in the kitchen. I'm letting the song play. I'm just listening to it. I'm just listening to it. So throughout the day, I'm listening to the song, and this is a part of the process of effectively learning it. Now, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait until I get to my piano or my organ to practice it to start listening. No, I'm already listening before I start practicing. And why am I doing that? Is because I'm trying to internalize the song. And what I'm trying to do is eliminate one of the factors that may make it difficult for me to execute the song accurately and effectively. See, one of the issues that we have when we're trying to play songs, sometimes it's not playing the song. It's not playing the song. Sometimes it's simply remembering the song. Sometimes that's the biggest issue. You may have a pretty good ear, and when you sit down, you can pick it. You can figure things out pretty fast. It's a lot of musicians that are like that. So the issue is not learning the song. The issue is, okay, how does the verse start off? Or okay, what was the first part of the bridge? So it's a matter of remembering it, and that's a factor. That's a big factor too. So one thing you can do is start to internalize it. And you do that by listening. And you do that by listening. And get to the place where it's really, really, really in you. And you got it, down in your head. Okay. So that's the first thing to the process. Now, the second thing is, after you have really internalized the song, now it's time to start learning it. So now we're going to sit down at the piano. We're going to sit down at the organ after we have internalized it. We're going to start practicing the song, to learn it, to learn how to play it. So whatever resource you need to use, a video, somebody has written out a chord chart for you, or you're just doing it by ear, you're figuring it out by yourself. However you learn it, whatever that process is for you to learn the song. So now we learn it after we have internalized it. So now we learn the song, and you work out any problem spots in the song that gives you issues and playing it or whatnot, and you work all of that stuff out, and you learn the song. So however long it takes, you learn it. Okay. So then after you learn the song, this is what you do. You try to play the song all the way through, from the beginning to the end. Okay. Now, normally what happens after you have learned the song, a lot of times what happens is you try to play it from the beginning to the end. You may forget certain things in the song. You may forget the transition from the chorus to the bridge, or you may forget a lick or a run or something in the song, and you know it, but you just kind of forget it because everything is still brand new. Okay, and so what you try to do is play it from the beginning all the way to the end, and what that's going to do is going to show you the places where you're still having a little trouble. Okay. If you can't play it from the beginning to the end without stopping, without saying, oh, what was that part? You're not ready yet. You don't have it down the way you need to yet. So you play it, you try to play it from the beginning to the end, and you see where the issues are. Okay. So then once you see where the issues are, this is what I do. I turn the song back on. I started at the beginning of the song and then I play along with it. Okay. I play along with the song from the beginning all the way to the end. And then um, it helps me to fill in those little gaps where I was having a little trouble. And I keep playing along with the recording or the song until I can accurately and effectively play it from the beginning to the end. So I just keep playing with the song, with the recording from the beginning to the end. And once I can do that without making a lot of mistakes, once I can do that pretty accurately, then I turn the recording off and here it comes now. Now I play it by myself with no help from the recording. I start from the beginning and I go all the way to the end. Okay. Now, if I cannot do that, then I'm going to go back, turn the recording back on, play with the recording again from the beginning to the end without messing up or making any mistakes. Once I can do that, turn the recording off again and then play it by myself from the beginning to the end. And once I can play it from the beginning to the end and I can do it accurately without any mistakes, then you got it. Okay? But we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet because that could be just short term memory. So, what we want is long term memory. So, now what you got to do is just walk away, go away. Okay? Take a walk. Do something else. Get your mind off of the song. Don't listen to the song. Go and talk to a friend. Come back, and make sure that you've had enough time to get it out of your mind. And then sit down without listening to the song and play it from the beginning all the way to the end. If you could do it at that point, you got it. Okay? So that's the process that I go through to internalize songs. Now, that last little step with you going away and taking a break and then coming back later and trying to play it, that's important because that's going to really let you know if you really have it. Because I can't tell you, and I know it's probably several people that have experienced this like I have. I can't tell you how many times I was in the practice room and I had it. I had the song. I knew the song. I could play the song. I knew the chords. I knew the licks. I knew the intro. I knew the song. But then when I got to the rehearsal or I got to the event where I had to play the song, I couldn't even think of. I had to pull out my phone to play it to remind myself of how. And I know somebody knows what I'm talking about. I had to be reminded. So that means I really didn't have it. And sometimes you don't have enough time to listen to it to try to refresh yourself. And so I think going through these steps will definitely help you to really effectively learn the song. So one more time, internalize the song. Number two, learn the song. So that means practicing. You learn it however you learn it. Number three, to um, play the song by yourself, and that's going to show you where the problem areas are. And then play along with the recording. After you play along with the recording, and you can effectively do that from the beginning to the end, then you play the song by yourself again. And if you can't do it, then you go back and you play with the recording again. And then you play by yourself again until you can do it from the beginning to the end. And then you take a break, you go away, you take a little time away, you come back, and when you come back, if you can play it from the beginning all the way to the end with no mistakes, you got it. Okay. All right. So those are my tips for learning brand new songs effectively. Okay. It sounds like a lot, but it does not have to be a lot. But when you go through all of that, you're really, really getting it on the inside of you. You're really getting it up here. So when it's time to play it, you got it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Because us learning songs is a very, very, very important thing, and knowing how to do it and knowing how to retain what it is that you have practiced on. So does anybody have any questions about that? This is a process that I have learned. It seems to work for me, and I have to be honest. Sometimes I don't go through these steps, and when I don't go through these steps, I can tell when I sit down at the rehearsal or the event to play it. I can tell I probably should have spent more time working on this or working on that, and I would have had it better. Okay. A lot of times I can get through it and people may not even know it, but I know it, that I could have had it better. Okay. Any advice for records and melody? Could you word the question a little bit differently? I just want to make sure I understand what your question is. If you have a question, I'll definitely be more than happy to answer that. And while you guys are typing your questions or whatnot, again, I want to remind everybody I think it's a great opportunity for mykeyboardconnection.com. Today is the last day where we're offering a special offer of 6 months of access to mykeyboardconnection.com, and um, 1 month normally is $37. 1 month normally is $37. But right now we're offering this special opportunity for those that will take advantage of it. You will receive 6 months, 6 months of My Keyboard Connection for only $25. And actually today is the last day of that. It was a 48-hour opportunity, and today will be actually the last day. So I would encourage you, take advantage of it. On mykeyboardconnection.com, I give you tips just like I'm giving you right now. I share with you experiences. I give you advice. There is a song archive where we have years and years of song tutorials that I have given you, popular songs, choir songs, congregational songs, hymns, just all kinds of things, shouting music, preaching chords, things that you can play for background music. There's music theory on there. I'm teaching you how to understand chord symbols, chord changes, going through so many different things. It's a section that's geared for only piano players. It's a section that's geared for only organists. We have a lab section that actually has some different online training that I did through the years. And so it is loaded with a whole lot of stuff. And so that's a wonderful and a golden opportunity, I believe, for a musician that you say, I want to learn some new things. I want to have access to some things that's going to really help take me to a new level. This is a wonderful opportunity. 6 months of all of this, of years of training from now all the way back to 2010. So that's about 9 years of instruction and information. And that's on mykeyboardconnection.com, mykeyboardconnection.com. Sign up for the 6 months access, and it's only $25. So that's a wonderful opportunity that I would encourage you to take advantage of. Today is the last day. Now, I think somebody asked a question. Let me see if I can pull it back up here. Okay, any advice for Here It's a Melody? Well, I think what you're asking is, do I have any advice for how to remember a melody? I hope I'm not misunderstanding your question. Well, I would say that it would be the same process. It'd be the same process of listening to it. It'd be the same process of learning it, and then trying to play it, without any assistance or help from the recording. And then you playing it with the recording, and then you going back, excuse me, without the record, and then you keep going through that process until you have it. So I would say it would be the same way as learning a brand new song. Okay, what would you advise? Okay, Ben, that's a real good question. Man, the thing about it is the way you get on track is you just take the initiative, and you just make a decision that I'm going to go ahead and do what I really believe I can do in terms of the potential that you have as a musician. This is something, and I think this is something that most people can identify with. You know inherently, and you know deep within, when you really do have potential. And it could really be a frustrating thing, because when you know you have potential to do a lot better, or you have the potential to do things on a higher level, and you're not there yet, but you know you really do have the potential, that could be very, very frustrating. And so what you do is you say, I know I can play on a higher level. I know that I can do better than where I currently am right now. You just make your mind up that I'm just going to do what's necessary every day so that I can get closer to the potential that I know I have. And the interesting thing is, you'll find out many times that what you believe you can do, you can probably do more than that when you really start to dive in and be serious about really taking your playing to a new level. And I would say this, being the true key is just one word right here: consistency. That's the key. Consistency is the key. Okay, and it's easy for us to kind of pick it up a little while and then put it down, and we go a period of time with not doing it, and then we pick it up again and then we put it down. And so it's not it doesn't have the consistency it needs. But when you can be consistent in your practicing and in your playing, then you will continue to grow. Now, one thing is, if you're anything like me, I like working towards something. One thing that's difficult, and this is something that I share with my students, one thing that is difficult is to practice, and you really don't have anything that you're practicing towards. Or what I mean is, you're at home, you're practicing by yourself or whatnot, but you don't have anything that you're going to demonstrate what you've worked on, or you don't have anywhere to go to play what you've been working on. And some people, they may be able to do it on a consistent basis, but and I'm speaking for myself. I it helps me to have something to work and practice towards. If I'm playing at a church, and I know that I have an event coming up, that is motivation for me to practice. Or if I am a musician at a church and I know that I have to play on Sunday or Saturday or Wednesday or whenever it is that I play, that is motivation for me to practice, because I know that I have to be able to play those songs. And so that motivation of having something to prepare for, a lot of times, is the missing ingredient for a lot of people. I hope that makes sense. And so what I'm saying is, if you are in a position where you want to get better, but you really don't have anything to practice towards, I would encourage you to try to put yourself in that position. So what am I saying? If you can play and you're on a level where you actually can play in front of people, do it. Do it. If you can play for a ministry, and say, for example, you may be on a beginner level, or you're on an intermediate level, see if you can find a ministry that you can just help them out. It's not about money. It's not about getting a check per se. It's not about that. It's about you being in a position where it's going to help you to grow. It's going to help you to develop, and being in a place where you are consistently playing. You're consistently learning new things, that's going to help you grow, and it's going to help you to grow faster. And so I would encourage you, put yourself in positions where it's going to force you to have to practice. Um, I would tell I would tell my students a lot of times that you need to be in the hot seat. You need to be in the hot seat. And I share my experience as a growing musician. And I've shared this before. My father was actually a pastor in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm a PK. I'm a PK. And my father, he was a superintendent, what's called a superintendent, if you're familiar with this, in the churches of God in Christ. And the way that works is the churches were connected in a district. So it was a district of churches. So different individual local churches would come together, united within a district. So it may be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 different churches, and they would come together and have different services as just one united district. And they may do that monthly or bi-monthly or whatnot, and they will call those district meetings. And so I was a young musician, maybe about 13, at the most, maybe about 14 years old, just learning to play. So I played for my father's church, which was a fairly small church. It was not a big church. And so the people, they were patient with me. They understood that I was learning. I was still growing. I was just 13, 14 years old, just a teenager. So it wasn't a whole lot of pressure. But my dad, he decided that he wanted me to start playing for the district, which meant I'm not going to be playing for one church. I'm going to be playing for a combined 7 or 8 different churches. So now that was a whole new level where it's now hundreds and hundreds of people that are expecting you to be able to play this song and to play it well. And so he talked me into doing it. I was nervous. I was scared, and I was taking lessons and still trying to learn a whole lot of stuff I didn't know how to do. But he just threw me out in the river. He just threw me out in the river. So either you're gonna swim, or you're gonna sink. And so he threw me out there, and I started swimming. And I noticed what happened. I started getting better real quick. And you know why? Because I was in the hot seat. I was in the hot seat. I had to get better if I wanted to survive that situation. I had to practice. I had to really spend some quality time in developing myself and growing and learning the songs. And it was very uncomfortable to be in the hot seat, but I think that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Okay. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that to say if you're serious about going to a new level in your playing, a lot of times it's good to be in the hot seat. I hope that makes sense, to where if you really, really, really want to go to a new level, don't be afraid of the hot seat. And the hot seat is a very uncomfortable place to be in sometimes, but sometimes that's the missing ingredient that will help you to really tap into that real potential that you have on the inside of you as a musician. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see. We have a few other questions. Gene is asking, how long do you think one should practice a song for? Until you have it. So for some people, that may be 30 minutes. For other people, it may be 7 hours. So it just depends on you. You practice it until you get it. And one thing you'll notice, if you keep practicing to the place where you don't stop until you get it, you'll notice that the amount of time that it takes you to get it will be a lot less. Okay, I shared this with a lot of people too. When I first started learning to play, I think the first song that I tried to learn to play, it took me, and y'all hear me now, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It took me about 2 days. No, no, it's not. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out what key the song was in. Not even to learn to play it. Now we hadn't even got to that point. We still trying to figure out what key is in. And it took me 2 weeks. And I am not exaggerating. And so just imagine how long it took me to learn the song. Let's think about that. And so fast forward now, and I'm only saying this so that you can understand how you can really grow and how long it takes to learn a song. Now I can, get in my car, drive, turn on the radio, hear a song, and immediately I know what key it's in. Immediately I know how to play it just from hearing it one time. Now, remembering it, I have to go through these steps that I just shared with you guys. But in terms of knowing what the bass line is doing, knowing what the chords are, after the first time I hear it, I know how to play it. Now, not every song. Some songs are a little bit more complicated, and I may have to sit down and work that out. But your basic general songs, I pretty much know how to do it the first time I hear it. I don't have to be at a piano. And I'm only saying that to say I didn't start off like that. I started off with it taking me 2 weeks to figure out what key the song was in. So I'm just saying, how long does it take to learn a song? As long as it takes for you to learn it. And then you just keep doing that, and you're going to notice that you're going to get faster and you're going to grow, you're going to develop, and you'll get to the place where it doesn't take that long. Okay? I hope that answers that. Okay, Billy, what are the best keys to start learning, practicing for gospel services? What are the best keys to start learning, practicing? Well, Billy, practically speaking, that's really actually a good question. Gospel music today, a lot of times it's in the black keys. So a lot of times it's in A flat. You'll have songs that's in A flat. You'll have songs that's in D flat a lot. You have songs that's in E flat a lot. You have songs that are in F a lot. Sometimes if it's like a contemporary Christian song, sometimes it'll be in E natural. So to answer your question, I would say A flat, D flat, E flat, F, B flat. Those keys like that are probably good keys to get started off in. But I will say this though, you don't want to be a musician that you only focus on certain keys. You want to be a person that you practice to learn all of the keys evenly. Okay? Let me share this since you brought this up. And I know this is a big debate. This is a really big debate. Um about playing in every key, about transposing and all that kind of thing. I don't really want to get into that debate. But what I do want to say is there is no such thing as a hard key. Okay? There is no such thing as a hard key. There are only unfamiliar keys. Okay? A natural is no more difficult than A flat. And somebody would say, well, it is to me. No, the thing that happened was if you're real good in A flat and you may kind of struggle in A natural, the only thing that happened was you just spent more time learning and developing in A flat and maybe not as much time in A natural. It's not that A natural was more difficult, it's that maybe you spent more time with A flat. That's the difference. If you would have spent the equal amount of time, that equal amount of time with A natural, you would feel like A natural was easier and A flat was difficult. So it's not a hard key, it's just an unfamiliar key. And if you spend the same amount of time on the unfamiliar key as you do with the familiar one, it will start to become even or equal. And you won't even care what key the song is in. And you can get to the place where you genuinely, like for real, you will really get to the place where you don't care what key the song is in. You don't care if it's in E or B or G or F sharp or D flat. It doesn't make you any difference because you can play in all of them evenly. And what produces that is practicing evenly, you know. And I can talk about that maybe a little bit later on. I don't want to get too deep in that. But you want to be the kind of musician where you don't just focus on certain keys, but you really try to practice where you approach them all evenly. That way you'll be able to play in any key that you want to. And I guarantee you, if you really try to do it, You can do it. It's not insurmountable. You can do it. These are some really good questions. Keep them coming. Oh, that's a wonderful question. How to make or keep practicing fun? Wow, that's a great question. And that's a very important thing. You don't want your practicing to only feel like a chore. Because if it feels like a chore, eventually you're going to stop doing it. We tend not to do things that's not fun. That's just our human nature. We like to have fun and enjoy ourselves. So you need to have a portion of your practice time that is devoted to just nothing but having fun. You just turn on the piano and you just have a ball. Just whatever that is that you need to do to help that you're having some fun with, make sure you do that, because what that does is it anchors a positive feeling with your instrument. So in your mind, subconsciously, you make a connection. When I sit down at this instrument, I enjoy it. When I sit down at this instrument, I have fun. I like playing this thing. And when you feel that way, you're going to go back to it more often. You're going to go back to that fun thing that you do, because that's our human nature. And so I would say strategically be smart about it. Don't just let your practicing be about struggling and having a hard time trying to figure stuff out, because eventually you're going to get to the place where you're going to say, I don't feel like doing it today. And then another day will go by, and another day will go by, and another day will go by, and you would have just not practiced for a long period of time because you just don't like being at that instrument. You got to have some fun, and you have to enjoy it. And so do things that you enjoy doing on your instrument, and allow that. Don't let that be the majority of your practice time, but allow that to be a part or a segment of your practice time. That's a really good question. Thank you for that. Great questions, you all. Come on, keep them coming. Does anybody else have any other questions before I sign off? I really appreciate you all hanging out with me for a few minutes. And if anybody new has come on now, this is the third time. I just don't want anybody to miss it if it's something that you really would be interested in. Go to mykeyboardconnection.com and sign up for 6 months of access. 1 month normally is $37. But for today is the last day. Today is Friday. What's the date? June the 7th. Friday, June the 7th. Today is the last day. And so if you're interested, do it today. mykeyboardconnection.com, where you get 6 months of access for only $25. Everything that's on there: choir songs, praise and worship songs, congregational songs, music theory. You have a section that's geared to just only piano players. You have a section that's geared to only organists. You have a lab on there. Lab section is called the lab, where I have different online training that I did live with people asking questions. And I've learned a lot of times when people ask questions, it's so many other people that have the exact same question. And then on my keyboard connection, you can ask questions under the videos too, so it can be a real interactive thing. So it's a wonderful, wonderful resource, and it goes all the way back from now all the way to 2010. So that's 9 years of content, and you're going to have 6 months of unlimited access to everything on the site, and it's only $25. That's a no-brainer. That's another no-brainer right there. 6 months, that's half of a year of you being able to absorb that content and learn from it and grow from it. That's a small investment that could really yield a major return in you as a musician. Are there any other questions? I really been enjoying you guys. Any other questions from anybody? Okay. Well, if not, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope these tips were helpful. And um, if you would incorporate them into your practice time, into learning new songs, I believe you're going to notice and you're going to see that it really does make a difference, and it really does help. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And remember, HMPI.